presented by the Strong Blue Line Foundation and powered by Moose Ridge Coffee in Snake River Landing, Idaho Falls. Welcome to the podcast, where former San Antonio police officer, author, and pastor Tim Rupp walks you through real-life scenarios involving our police officers and digs into the depths of facts and opinions on each case. This is Cop Talk, and it starts now.
Hello, and welcome to the Strong Blue Line's Cop Talk. I'm Tim Rupp in the Rev.FM studio in beautiful Idaho Falls. Here with me is station manager, Mr. Gary Austin. Hello, Gary.
Hey, Tim Rupp.
How do you like them introductions? I tried to change it up. I tried to do something different, Gary.
They make me laugh every time.
Okay, I can't just say. Well, I could say, here's Gary.
Oh, this is Cop Talk with Tim Rupp, not Gary Austin.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm just a co-host. I'm here to support you, Mr. Tim Rupp.
Well, thank you, Mr. Gary Austin. Appreciate it. Hey, we got some interesting. Gary, let me ask this: do you hate crime?
I do.
Well, we're going to talk about hate crime today.
Okay.
So,
all right,
from down in Louisiana, where the black trees grow, and there lives a voodoo lady. What?
You hate crime?
I hate crime. I hate crime. I love Louisiana, man. I told you that. We were down in Louisiana.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, you talk about two things, Louisiana. Great food and great people. Just so friendly down there.
Really?
I mean, we just go in there hello, honey, how y'all doing? I mean, just like, man, give us big hugs. It's just so friendly down there.
Oh, be darned.
And the food is just awesome, man.
Huh.
I couldn't live there. You'd have to roll me back. I mean, I was just
going to say, so you moving?
No. Why you say that with anticipation? Like, no, good, are you moving?
It was a question.
We're going down to Louisiana next year. I think February. No, March. We're supposed to be down there to do a seminar. So we'll be down there. We'll be down there eating. I'll send you some pictures of the food, Gary. I ain't going to send you the food. I'm going to send you pictures of it.
Please do.
You'll be all jealous and everything.
I'm moving.
Okay. But before that, we know we've got Carrie's famous Christmas candy.
Goodness, yeah. I can't wait.
Oh, neither can I.
Wait.
Okay. Let's get on with this show today.
Let's do it.
We have a hate crime show. Officer Down Memorial page. Before we get to that, we're going to honor the officers who have given their lives on this date in history. And I got one of the oldest. Now, remember, earlier this year in January, we talked about the oldest.
Oh, that's right.
This is pretty close. I'm not sure where this falls in, but this is Superintendent Hillary Baker, Philadelphia Police Department. End of watch, Tuesday, September 25th, 1798.
What?
1798.
Wow.
Yes, not last century, not the century before, but a couple centuries before.
Yeah.
1798, Superintendent Hillary Baker died as a result of contracting yellow fever during an outbreak in the city. Gary, this is a very interesting story. It says, as citizens fled the city due to the outbreak, Superintendent Baker stayed to assist the watchman he oversaw and gave aid to those affected. So here's the superintendent of police, and we're going to find out a little bit more about him hiring people. But the watchmen, the policemen of the time, were there helping. Mm-hmm. They didn't flee. First responders do this. They were there to help out and give aid, and so he was helping them out. While doing so, he became ill and contracted the disease. While acting as superintendent, he also served as mayor of the city of Philadelphia.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, this guy wore a couple of hats, Gary.
Yeah.
Important hats. While acting as mayor, Baker was tasked by the city council to appoint a police force to protect the city from vandalism and looting. So before he existed, here's the city of Philadelphia, they had no police department. Mm-hmm. But things started happening. Vandalism and looting.
Interesting.
That kind of happens when you don't have the police.
It does. That's why we fund the police.
Very good. Thank you, Gary. We do not defund the police.
No.
You defund the police, you'll have vandalism and looting. So if you have vandalism and looting, you fund the police.
The police.
Are you? That's just crazy. Anyways, Superintendent Hillary, he created the city's first paid uniformed watch through an act of the assembly on May 22nd, 1797. So about a year and a half before his death, he started it. He originally appointed 20 watchmen for the day patrols and 15 for the night patrols.
Okay.
So overnight, he had a 35-man crew to patrol the streets of Philadelphia.
Wow.
He was originally buried at Zion Church on 8th Street at 8th and Race Streets, which is now the current location of the Philadelphia Police Headquarters.
Huh.
So he was re-entered into the Laurel Hill Cemetery.
I'll be darned.
So there's a lot of history here, man.
There is a lot
From
of history.
the city
I love
of
that.
brotherly love.
Yeah.
Superintendent Baker was a continent. It doesn't end yet, Gary.
Oh.
Superintendent Baker was a Continental Army veteran of the Revolutionary War.
Oh, wow.
He had served with the Philadelphia Police Department for less than 1.5 years. He started it.
You're right.
He was survived by his wife and 5 children. 52 years old.
Man. And he died from yellow fever.
I'm sure if I ever get to Philadelphia and I have time, I'm going to go by the police department. I bet you there's some more information about him.
I'll bet so
there.
too. Yep, me too.
That is
I'm gonna
such an interesting
make that
story.
a goal. Yeah.
To give his
Cool
life,
history.
helping out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You never know. It's unusual. You think of officers being killed in the line of duty. You think of firearms and, getting beat or getting in an accident, like, a car accident or something like that. But strange things happen.
They sure do. I've got Captain John Robert Randolph III from Ringling Police Department out of Oklahoma. End of watch September 25th, 2023. So just a year ago.
Just a year ago.
Very interesting, as you mentioned. He succumbed to injuries he received when he fell while working as a school resource officer at the Ringling High School football game.
So he's working extra duty. Or he's working as an SRO at the football game.
Yeah,
that's a great job.
Yeah,
you
Friday
go
night,
there, you watch the game.
Yeah.
And so what happened?
So he was escorting a teacher who was carrying the gate money at the school's varsity football game.
Which is common. That's what officers do all the time.
Exactly. It was about 8 o'clock at night. And what happened was he tripped on wood debris and fell forward onto a wood pile.
What?
So he was transported to a nearby hospital and then ultimately airlifted to another hospital. This was in Denton, Texas, where he died from internal injuries 3 days later.
Okay, so that must have been southern Oklahoma because Denton is kind of north of Dallas.
Oh, okay.
Going up there, so
huh?
Wow.
That's
he tripped and fell.
He tripped and fell on wood debris, and fell into a wood pile or on a wood pile.
That's crazy. And what is his history? How long had he been there?
So this is amazing. He was 59 years old. His tour, 29 years, 6 months. He was a United States Army Operation Desert Storm and Operation Enduring Freedom veteran. He served with the Ringling Police Department for 2 years and previously served with the Helton Police Department for 2 years, Carter County Sheriff's Office for 2 years, Lone Grove Police Department for 1 year, and the Ardmore Police Department for 22 years.
A lot of people look at that and they say, well, why all these things? He was a captain. And a lot of times once you get to a certain, he's served 22 years, that was his first one.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll hire you into management.
Oh.
So he was likely hired into management, served as a captain or a deputy chief or something like that, or a chief, in a couple of years, and then moved on to another. That's probably what happened. I'm not saying I'm not sure, but it's amazing. So he's a veteran, a military veteran of 2 wars, 29 years as a police officer, and he dies by tripping over and falling. That's amazing. That's sad.
It is sad.
To go to. Anyways, that's so you never know.
Yeah.
When we think of, like I said, when we think of line of duty death, first thing comes to mind is getting shot.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that I think of.
Yeah, very and internal injuries things they couldn't see.
The wood pile, he must have. I'm thinking he was stabbed by a piece of wood. He fell down and a piece of wood went into him somewhere and just he bled internally. They couldn't fight or whatever.
Yeah,
because they flew him from one hospital to another hospital.
Exactly. So
who knows? Wow, that's
another sad one.
Yeah, that is. Anyway, so we have. If you want to see formerly aired shows of Cop Talk, can be found on Amazon, YouTube, Apple, and Spotify podcast platforms. So we talked about this. We hate crime, Gary. We both agreed on that. And so this comes out of Louisiana. Says Louisiana woman charged after hurling anti-white racial slurs at police during arrest.
Huh.
That's just kind of backwards in reverse. Anyways, here we go. According to the Shreveport Times, dispatchers, and this is from last month, 15th of last month, so just about a month ago.
Okay.
August 16th, 2024. According to the Shreveport Times, dispatcher sent an officer to an apartment complex at approximately 6:30 a.m. 6:30 in the morning, Gary.
Early.
On August 4th, near downtown after several calls to 911 came from Crystal Harris, 43 years old. So this is not a young little girl. This is not an old senile person. Middle-aged. In which she was, quote, very aggressive towards them during the calls. So in other words, she was being a jerk with the 911 operators.
Mm-hmm.
She was she wasn't being nice. She reportedly told dispatchers that she would keep calling until an officer arrived at the scene. So that's real good. It's all about her. She just keeps on calling and tying up phones and stuff until an officer arrived. As reported by BR Proud, which is obviously, I guess, Baton Rouge. Yeah, Baton Rouge Proud. The same officer who had brought Harris to the apartment complex. Let me back up. I said Shreveport. Oh, the Shreveport Times reported this, but this is actually out of Baton Rouge. That's what it is. Okay, I'm sorry. So this happened in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. As reported by BR Proud, the same officer who had brought Harris to the apartment complex on a previous occasion responded. You know, when they do that, officers, Gary, work districts. Generally, that you work the same district or the same patrol beat, whatever it might be called, and you work that all the time. And when I worked my patrol beat, I'd get a call, and the next day or the next week or maybe the next month or later that shift, I get a call back. I go back. They get the same officer. And sometimes they don't like that. I remember this one call I made. It was for some kind of a disturbance, and I get there, and they were not happy with the way I handled it for whatever reason, but I did all I could. That was it. They just weren't happy because they wanted somebody arrested, and I wasn't going to arrest anybody. And so about an hour or two later, they called again. And I show up, and as soon as I get out of the car, this lady says, "Oh, no, I want the captain. I want the captain." She bypassed the sergeant and the lieutenant. She wanted the captain. Well, guess what she got, Gary? She got me.
She got you.
A few minutes later, she got my sergeant. And my sergeant just like, do what Officer Rupp said. So
that's funny.
Anyways, so I understand where this officer called. He makes a call. The suspect was attempting to retrieve her personal belongings, despite the officer having previously advised her to call the constable's office to set a time to recover her belongings if she was not able to do so today. So what was going on here? She probably got kicked out of an apartment complex. And she wanted to get her belongings back because he said, you need to contact the constable's office to set a time.
Okay.
So what happens, Gary, what I'm thinking happened here, she didn't pay her bill. Mm-hmm. And they locked the apartment, said, you're not welcome. They've already evicted her.
Right.
You know, this isn't like she didn't pay the bill on the 31st of the month. On the 1st, they locked her out. This is, she hadn't paid her. Yeah, she hadn't paid her bill in a while. She was warned.
Yeah.
She was evicted. They're like, you're done. They're like, I want my stuff. I'm going to call the police. The police like, we're not letting you in. This is a civil matter.
Exactly.
This is not a criminal matter. Mm-hmm. So the officers come and they said, no, call the constable. That's what we told you to do. When the officer arrived and informed Harris that no one could help her to break into the complex and retrieve her property, she reportedly became incensed and was arrested for misuse of the 911 system, an offense she was previously arrested for in 2016. This is not her first rodeo. See, Gary, and another thing here, in order to get arrested for abusing the 911 system, it's not that you call twice and the police get mad.
Right.
This is she continues to call. And so why is that a crime? Because it ties up the system.
Exactly.
And somebody with a real emergency. First of all, this is not an emergency situation.
No.
She should have called the non-emergency number.
Exactly.
And say, I would like to have an officer come out here because I want to get my stuff back. The officer comes out and says, ma'am, we're unable to do this. We're not going to break in. Mm-hmm. Here's what you need to do. Gave her the information.
Yeah,
and she should have said, thank you, officer. I'll come back and I'll call them.
Yeah.
That would have been the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
But no, she needed to get stuff done right now. So anyway, she was arrested for abuse of the 911 system. En route to the first district for booking, Harris allegedly began to make, quote, multiple comments about the officer being white and that was the reason for her arrest, end quote. So apparently she was not white. So she must have been a lady of color for whatever reason.
Right.
And she blames the officer. Well, you're doing this because you're white. No, ma'am, we're doing this because we're not going to break into something.
Right.
These comments including calling the officer a racist, blankety blank blank, and a blankety blank boy. BR Proud reported. I'm not going to say the things they say on here, Gary.
This is
a
Tim.
Christian radio station.
Thank you.
She further dared the officer to put hands on her, and upon arrival at the first district, refused to be shackled and led into holding. Gary, if you ever do get arrested, do not refuse to be shackled because you will be shackled. The easy way or the hard way.
You're right.
Like a friend of mine once said, there was a police officer then, we had to go Old Testament on him, Sarge. So you can just figure out what that means.
Yeah.
Harris, despite telling the officer she would cooperate, even refused to exit the vehicle at first. First, she refused to get in, then she refused to get out.
My goodness.
She's just being uncooperative, we'll say.
Yeah.
She is being charged with hate crimes, illegal use of 911 emergency communication system, resisting a police officer with force or violence, public intimidation, and retaliation, false communication with intent to cause an emergency response, and misrepresentation during booking, according to the outlet. So, Gary, when somebody's charged with that much stuff, that means that officer has to do an awful lot of paperwork.
My goodness.
Officers don't like to do paperwork.
Right.
There's was asking for stuff. They're like, we're tired of this.
Yeah. So
this is the old thing. They threw the book at her.
It's good.
But one of the things that was brought out here is this second to last paragraph. It says, under Louisiana Revised Statute, so-and-so, a hate crime is defined as, quote, any person to select the victim of the following offenses against person and property because of actual or perceived race, gender, religion, color, creed, disability, sexual orientation, national origin, or ancestry of that person, or membership or service in or employment with an organization, or because of actual or perceived employment as a law enforcement officer, firefighter, or emergency medical services. End of quote. Now, that's a long list of people.
It is. But covers a lot of things.
Here's what this is, Gary, and I think we mentioned it before. Hate crimes came out like in the 1980s or 1990s. I think it was 90s or something like that. And what it is, it's a higher offense. It's like if you punch me, Gary, if we're outside and you just, I don't like you, Tim, I'm going to hit you in the face. Mm-hmm. So and you hit me and you with your fist, you hit me in the face. That's would be considered a simple assault, as long as you didn't kill me with your right punch. If you were Mike Tyson, it would probably be aggravated assault or attempted murder or something. But you just hit me in the face, so that's assault. It's a simple assault. But then if you say, well, I'm hitting you because of your race or perceived race or gender or whatever it is, then that goes to a hate crime. And instead of being, say, a Class B misdemeanor, it's now a Class A misdemeanor, for example. What I've always had an issue with is increasing something because of somebody's race or gender. Why should it increase?
Right.
If you hit me in the face, I don't care if you did it because of my race or you did it because you just don't like me.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that's
what different? The same, because what it's doing, it's separating things.
Yeah.
Well, it's, you know, you're a white man and I'm a white man, and so you hit me and it's a Class B misdemeanor.
Right.
Now, let's say I was a black man and you hit me and I said, he did it because of my race. Now it's more.
Right.
Why should it be more?
It shouldn't.
Right. It's the same offense. And the thing is, they said because of actual or perceived. So what they're doing, they're trying to get into your head, Gary,
Mm-hmm.
and they're punishing you if you're the bad guy. They're punishing you for your thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's where I think the government is overstepping their boundaries.
Yeah, I agree.
We punish behavior, not thoughts. Now,
perceived,
or perceived thoughts. Oh, you think that? Oh, really? Whose perception is that?
Exactly.
That's just. I think that's a bridge too far.
Yep.
Now, some people may say, well, we do punish people for intent, and yes, we do. So if you go out, you can commit an attempted robbery without actually doing the robbery. So if you go out and you and I plan to do a robbery, and we make the plans to do a robbery, we write out the plans. This is what we're going to do. And Gary, you got the getaway truck because you got a fast truck, and so we buy ski mask, and we buy guns, and we have this plan, and we go up there, and and you pull into the bank parking lot, and you back in there to get away. I said, leave the engine running, and I start walking in. And I trip and fall down and bust my head. And you come out and help me, and the police show up. I'm like, what are you guys? And they see all this stuff like, oh, you guys are going to rob the place.
Yeah.
They can arrest us for attempted robbery.
Mm-hmm.
Not because we talked about it and we thought about it, but because we did actions in furtherance of that.
Right.
We made plans. We did things. We got the ski mask. We did all that stuff. So they can actually arrest us for a attempted robbery.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not just something like, hey, Garen, let's go rob someplace, and the police come in. Okay, we're going to arrest you.
Exactly.
We were just kidding.
Perceived.
Just because. So that's where I really have a problem with hate crime. It's just, you know what? If somebody does the offense, they do the offense. Let's not bump it up because they're white or because they're black or because they say they're homosexual or because of their religion.
Right.
Whatever it is. If they've done a crime, they've done the crime.
Yep.
Let's leave it at that. But I don't think I think we're on a slippery slope here, where we're starting to arrest people for their thoughts.
Yes.
We've heard about the thought police, and so we don't. And that comes from 1984. I started reading that book.
Oh,
I just started reading. I'm going to read
really?
the book. I'm going to. Yeah, it's one of them things that I need to read that book one of these days. I'm going to read it. 1984. If you've read it, don't tell me about it. Don't email me and tell me how it ends. I know it's been around for many, many, many years. Okay, hey, thanks for listening in. If you have a topic or question you want to address on Cop Talk, send me an email. You can email suggestions, questions, comments, or complaints to coptalk@therev.fm. That's coptalk@therev.fm. A thought from the good book today. A false witness will not go unpunished, and he who breathes out lies will perish. Thank you for joining us and helping to make the thin blue line a strong blue line.
Cop Talk is presented by the Strong Blue Line Foundation and sponsored by Moose Ridge Coffee in Snake River Landing, Idaho Falls. Questions and comments are always welcome by email to coptalk@therev.fm. Listen, follow, leave a review, and share this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or YouTube. And visit thestrongblueline.org to learn how you can be a supporter. Cop Talk is a Rev FM production, produced and edited by Gary Austin. Thank you for joining us on Cop Talk.